have a group presentation. We are going to have a group presentation on Wednesday. I am going to make four groups, and I'm also going to divide you in different groups with a topic, with a story, because we are going to do story review today. All right? We are going to learn story review today. Okay. Yes, let me share. Let me share my screen. But before that, what do you think? What do we mean by story review? The word review is very common these days, I guess. Everybody is reviewing everything, I would say, right? The bloggers are doing that. Like people in general are doing that. So what do we mean by review? What do you think?
Ma'am, summary of something.
Not
Like in
summary.
short, what we think, or something
Kind
like
of,
it's
yes,
our
Amina.
opinion.
Yes, exactly. You're right. Opinion, right? We see a lot of food reviewers, right? Who review food, who review restaurants. If I pay attention here, food, and we also see reviews about movies. For example, when I plan to watch a movie on Netflix, I usually, check the review first, because people watch the movie and they give reviews, right? So story review means you read a story and then you review the story. You give your opinion about the story. All right. Okay. So that's how we review a story. But since we are going to do it for a course, for an academic purpose, so there is a way to do it. There is a structure that we have to follow. So for learning the structure, I'm going to play the first video first. Just a minute. Um, can you see my screen? Or not yet, I guess. Keep your camera on, all of you, except for Tabassum, Bushra, and Shoaib.
Welcome to the second video. Now we are going to learn how to write a story review. Before we learn how to do it, let us know what story review is. I hope many of you like to read different stories, right? So after reading, definitely you'd like to share your opinion on the story with others. For example, you'd like to share the part that you liked or disliked. Or maybe you share your comment on different characters of the story. So, whenever you express your view from different perspectives based on a story, that is called story review.
To elaborate more on this, it can be said that the review of a story reveals your opinion regarding the core aspects of the story and addresses the author's intent. It reveals the opinion regarding the story, characters, theme, positive or negative aspects.
A review of a story should include the following aspects: introduction, character description, personal reflection, where you're going to focus on the like and dislike, and finally the conclusion.
In the introduction, you should include some basic facts about the story, including the title, name of the author, the gist of the story, where you're going to briefly summarize the overall message of the story, the setting, you're going to introduce the main characters and the main events or troubles.
After introducing the story, you should describe the characters. At first, you should define the role of the characters, then identify the type of the character based on the personality traits. Lastly, you should describe the character's growth and change throughout the story. Let's start with the role of the characters. The character either plays a major role as a central element to the story or a minor role to support the major characters in the story. While analyzing the role of the character, we have to focus on the protagonist. The protagonist of a story is another name for the main character. The story revolves around the protagonist. The most important trait of the protagonist is that they absolutely must do something in order to move the story forward. After that, we are going to focus on the antagonist. The antagonist is the character who represents a challenge or an obstacle to the protagonist in a story. Next, you have to identify the type of the character based on the personality traits. While reading, you will receive clues about the personality of the character through a character's word, action, reaction, feeling, movement, thoughts, and mannerism. Even a character's opinion can help you learn more about the individual.
There are two different types of characters. First one, flat character. A flat character has one or two personality traits that do not change. The flat character can play a major role or a minor role.
Along with the flat character, you may also find round character in the story. A round character has many complex traits. Those traits develop and change in a story. A round character seems more real than a flat character because most of the real people are complex in nature.
You have to figure out the type of the character based on a character's thoughts, behaviors, and actions. After discussing about the type of the character, you will be expected to explain how a character changes and grows. Most of the major characters go through some kind of significant growth and changes. Notice as you read which main characters grow stronger for developing new relationships and discovering new aspects of themselves.
Understanding the journey of your character and how it relates to the story as a whole can help you better understand that character's motives and better represent the person in your overall analysis. Now we are moving towards the most interesting part of story review, that is personal reflection, where you're going to focus on like and dislike. Please discuss what you like or dislike about the story. For doing this, you have to also give reasons to support your opinion. Discuss what you particularly like about the story. Focus on your thoughts about the story and the way it was told. You could try answering a couple of questions like which part of the story fascinated you most, or who was your favorite character and why. Then you can also ask were certain types of scenes written particularly well, for example, sad scenes, mysterious scenes, etc.
You can also mention anything you disliked about the story. You can discuss which part of the story did you not like, what did you feel was missing, or is there any character or scene you did not prefer. Apart from these three questions, you can also focus on other aspects of the story you did not prefer.
After sharing your praise and critique, let your audience know your conclusion. Make the final judgment regarding the story. You should evaluate the story and finally decide whether you would recommend it or not as a worthwhile piece of reading for others. Moreover, if you have learned any lesson from the story, you can also describe that in the concluding part. Remember, before you begin writing the review, make sure you read the story closely and take good notes while reading. After watching this video, you are going to attend your first quiz. Best of luck!
so clear about the video? Did you understand the structure? So if we go back to the video, right, yes. If we go back to the video, story review meaning you are giving your opinion. Tahmida was right about it. Right. So basically, it reveals your opinion regarding the core aspects of the story and the addresses the author's and it also addresses the author's intent. It reveals your opinion about the story, its characters, its theme, positive and negative aspects. So how you are going to do this? There are four parts. So first, you are going to do the introduction. I'm going to tell you what you are going to do for in the introductory part. Then you are going to describe the character and you are going to analyze the character as well. The characters, I should say, because of course a story has a lot of characters. Then personal reflection, where you are going to talk about the parts that you like and you are also going to talk about the parts that you dislike or do not like. Then conclusion. Now, let's see how we do that. So as we know that the first part of reviewing a story is giving the introduction. So what are we going to do in the introduction? We are going to, of course, introduce the title and say the name of the author, and then we are going to give a brief summary of the story, the gist of the story, which means the summary of the story, and then about its setting, right? For the time and the place, for example, where the story took place and when it took place. And then in the introductory part, we are just going to introduce the main characters. That's it. We are just going to introduce the main characters and also maybe one or two important events from the story, just one or two important events from the story. So this is part one. And in part two, we are going to describe characters and we are going to analyze the characters as well. So we are going to talk about, if there are four characters, we are just going to talk about four characters and how their nature is and their personality traits. And also, if we see any character changing throughout the story. Of course, I think characters change throughout the story. Now, while talking about the character, you have to know a few more things. So first comes protagonist. Protagonist simply means the hero or the main character of the story. Every story has a main character, right? So protagonist simply means that. Um, you know, um, I mean, around a protagonist, the whole story revolves. And then antagonist. Antagonist basically means a villain. All right. In simple language, it means villain who you know uh, puts obstacles uh, to the I mean in the way of the protagonist. That is called antagonist. Sorry. Okay, so this is antagonist, right? And then how do we analyze characters? As I was talking about analyzing the characters, we analyze their words, I mean their dialogues, their actions, their reactions, feelings, and everything. And then there are two types of characters. One is a flat character. A flat character is someone who does not change throughout the story, who remains the same throughout the story. Now, a flat character can be a major character or a minor character. Now, why am I saying major character and minor character? Because not that all the characters are major characters. We see a few characters, coming maybe in the beginning of the story and then they never appear. Or maybe we see one or two characters like who come maybe at the end of the story. So minor characters like minor, we are calling the characters minor characters who do not have you know who do not have a great role to play in the story. And major characters, you understand, like who are the major characters, you will of course understand when you read a story. And then round character. A round character has many complex traits because a round character changes throughout the story. It's more like a real character because our character, we are human beings, and naturally our character also changes, right? For example, you may see a child in the story who is very innocent and very sensitive, but maybe a few incidents happen in his or her life, and this person grows up to be a very aggressive character or vindictive character, right? So that's how a character changes throughout the story. Our character also changes. Do you think we are the same character as we were in our childhood? Do you think that? No, right? No, so our characters also change. That's why it's written a round character seems more like a real character, because this is a complex character, because this type of character changes throughout the story. So this is how we are going to show the character's development, and we are also going to explain how a character changes and everything. And then comes the third part, your personal reflection, where you are going to talk about your like and dislike, and you are also going to give your opinion to support what you are saying. So, for example, if you say that, I like this part of the story, of course, you have to mention that first, which part of the story fascinated you the most. Then, if there is any favorite character, you are also going to talk about the character and then why that is your favorite character. Then you can also talk about a few particular scenes, any scene. It can be a sad scene or mysterious scene or any scene, event, incident. And then when you are talking about the part that you dislike, you are going to of course mention the part that you did not like. Then you can also say that I felt that this part was missing, or maybe if the author included this part, or if the author added this thing, the story could be better. You can give your opinion like that. Or maybe any scene or character, if you don't like, you can also talk about that. And then in the last part, in conclusion, after sharing your liking and disliking, you will make a judgment. You will tell the audience whether you think this story is worth of recommending to others or not. You can give your opinion. You can suggest your audience to read the story, or maybe not to read the story if you don't write the story that much. And you are also going to um, describe if there is any moral lesson in the story. So that's how you are going to conclude the story. Am I clear, class? Am I clear? We can see a few multiple choice
Yes, ma'am.
questions that you are going to answer at home. And then there is this story. Okay. So for doing the presentation, let me announce the names. I have already, made groups on Slack. Just a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just a minute. If you go to Slack, you will see 3 groups have been made already. I will make the last group now. So while I do that, it's an individual task now. Your job is to read the story. Please open this story on Box, read the story, and then answer these questions. So you will see when you answer these questions, your review will be done. First, you are going to narrate the summary of the story. Then you are going to analyze the characters. Then you are going to talk about the part that you like, and then you are going to talk about the part that you dislike, and then you are going to give your final judgment on the story. So if you just answer these questions, your story review will be done. So it's simple. There are 4 parts, as I say. So part 1, introduction. Part 2, analyzing characters. Part 3, you can divide part 3, like you can talk about the liking part first and the disliking part. And then part 4 is you are giving your final judgment, and you are also going to say if there is any moral lesson at the end of the story. Right? So I'm giving you 15 minutes time for that, because after that I will divide the groups. Okay, so 15 minutes time. Please open Box in your own device and start reading the story. You will read the story. You will finish reading the story. And you are also going to answer the questions. All right. So 15 minutes time. Let me finish making the groups. Then I will announce the uh, group members, name of the group members, and you can also see that on Slack. That's why I was saying that sometimes you miss important announcement and information from Slack. Okay, see if I missed anyone's name here. Mehdi Hassan, Siam, please listen to me carefully. Mehdi Hassan, Siam, Shakib Shadman
Yes, ma'am.
Shomik, Ahmed Munim Ramil,
Yes,
Mohammad
ma'am.
Mustafa Al Maruf, Ishtiaq Ahmed, Tanjila
Yes,
Fariha,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
and Muqtadirul Islam. You are in group 1. You are going to present, you are going to review The Ransom of Red Chief, the first story. Okay, you will see that on box. And then Muqtadir Haq Sharkar, M.A. Abdullahi Sani, Mahmuda Tabassum, then Khalid Al Kafi, Tanvi Shahriar Ornob, and Farhin Ulfat. You are in group 2. You are going to review The Lottery Ticket, the second story. And then, just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. Group number 3, Atik Hassan, Tasnim Aziz, Nuzhat Tasnim, Shobuj Mojumdar, Mohammad Hosamuddin, and Riyad bin Sajjad. You are Riyad bin Sajjad. Okay, how many group members? You are going to be in group 3. So story number 3, the model millennial. Okay, the model millennial. And now the last group. Just a minute. Okay, right. So the last group, Ifat Sultana Arya, Tabassum Tawhid Raya, Sifat Al Saif, Tahmida Ahmed, Tabassum Bushra, and Muhammad Shoaib Hassan Saeb. You 6 are going to be in group number 4, and the story is the last story, which is 3 questions. All right, all right. I will tell you how you can divide
Ma'am,
units on
my
the group
name is
work.
missing.
Sorry,
Ma'am, my name is missing.
who are you? What's your name?
Ma'am, Atik Hassan.
Atik Hassan. No, no, I included you. Atik Hassan, just a minute.
He is in group 3 now.
Yeah, Atik Hassan, I included you.
Yes, you are in group 3.
Yes, you're in. Why don't you check Slack, Atik? I have just made the group on Slack. That's why, another platform is important. Anyway, so
Okay.
Tahmida, do that today. All right, Tahmida, do that today. Not me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I will tell you what to do, but first, finish reviewing the story, read the story, and please do these question answers. Okay? Um, well, let me show you something. You have been trying. I will ask you the questions, but let me show you a video on sample question, on sample review. So I'm going to play the video now, and you will see how the story is reviewed. All right? It will help you to make your presentation for the next class. I hope you read the story Hearts and Hands by O. Henry and understood the story properly. Now you will see how to express an opinion on a story. As we know, story review means giving our opinion on the main parts of the story. You didn't tell me I'm not sharing my screen. Focusing on the intent of the author. So here, for reviewing the story Hearts and Hands, first
will try to concentrate on what the author of the story read the
Can you see it now? Yes. Let me share.
story Hearts and Hands by O. Henry and understood the story properly. Now you will see how to express an opinion on a story. As we know, story review means giving our opinion on the main parts of the story and also focusing on the intent of the author. So here, for reviewing the story Hearts and Hands, first we will look at the main aspects of the story, and then we will try to concentrate on what the author of the story intended to do with his story. Now, we are going to talk about what we think of the characters, themes, positive and negative aspects of the story. And finally, we are going to conclude by stating our final opinion or judgment. So now, let's review the story, starting with the introduction. So here comes the introduction. We already know the name of the story is Hearts and Hands, and it is written by O. Henry. Here, we are going to take a look at the gist of the story. The story Hearts and Hands is set on a train where an elegantly dressed, luxurious, pretty young woman, Miss Fairchild, meets one of her old friends, Mr. Easton, by chance. Mr. Easton greets her with his left hand as his right hand is handcuffed with the left hand of another plump-faced, heavily built, and a roughly dressed man seated next to him. Miss Fairchild is surprised to see that they are handcuffed. Sensing Mr. Easton's embarrassment, the second man comes to the rescue by explaining that Mr. Easton is a marshal who is taking him to the prison as he has got 7 years of jail term for counterfeiting. This gives Miss Fairchild some relief as she started to think something bad about her old friend. Then they continue the conversation further. Fairchild comes to know that Mr. Easton has given up his luxurious life in Washington and has taken the job of a marshal in the West. Then the woman says she also loves the West and wants to live there. At that point, the second man demands that he must be taken to the smoker now as he hasn't had a smoke all day. So Mr. Easton rises and leaves with that man, bidding goodbye to the woman. Two other passengers in a nearby seat hear the entire conversation. One of them comments that the man holds such a prestigious post of a marshal at a very young age. Then the other man comments that he has never seen an officer handcuff a prisoner to his right hand. So, at the very end of the story, we came to know that actually the plum-faced man is the officer and Mr. Easton is the prisoner. And this is the summary of our story, Hearts and Hands. Let's look at character analysis. We know that describing the characters is very important to review a story properly. A story cannot be made without the characters. Here in Hearts and Hands, we find both major and minor characters. The main characters are Mr. Easton, Miss Fairchild, and a plum-faced, roughly depressed man, whose name is not mentioned here. The minor characters are the two passengers who reveal the truth at the end. As we know, in a story, we usually get both protagonists and antagonists. So here, Mr. Easton is the protagonist of the story since the main plot of the story revolves around him. His conversation with Miss Fairchild from the beginning till the end helps the story move forward. His role not only gives wrong impression to Miss Fairchild but also creates misconception on the reader's mind. However, Mr. Easton is presented as a handsome young man with a bold and frank manner. In pursuit of more money, he indulged himself in some criminal activities. Now he was being taken to the prison, so it is evident that he is quite ambitious. But he is reckless and unwise and at a moral corruption, ready to do anything to earn more money. We did not see much change in his character from the beginning till the end, so we may say he is a flat character. Another character, Miss Fairchild, is depicted as an outwardly sophisticated and luxurious pretty young lady. She has elegant taste and the habit of traveling by train. She was delighted to see her old friend. Her passion for him grew and grew, knowing his fake position. So this reveals her restless spirit looking for a young man who holds a good position in the society. Another character, Miss Fairchild, is depicted as an outwardly sophisticated and luxurious pretty young lady. She has elegant taste and the habit of traveling by train. She was delighted to see her old friend. Her passion for him grew and grew, knowing his fake position. So this reveals her restless spirit looking for a young man who holds a good position in the society. Next comes the marshal. His appearance apparently makes him less likable, so it is rather easy for someone to take him as the convict handcuffed with the marshal. But having read the entire story, the readers know that the second man was not really the convict, but the marshal. He saved Easton twice from embarrassment. He did not even hesitate to tell a lie to the woman and to undermine himself by posing for a prisoner. This shows his human nature and sympathy for others, even for a criminal. The marshal shows his great presence of mind and common sense by quickly choosing to tell a lie to Miss Fairchild when the situation was getting complicated. Now it's time to talk about liking and disliking. Now comes the most liked part of the story. The most liked part of the story is its ending. The end reveals a complete twist to the readers. The readers are in shock to know the reality. And among all the characters, the marshal's character is liked the most. We see him as a humble man and respectful to others. The story is also written in a wonderful way. The readers do not have any idea how the story would end. It starts with a description of a train journey. All the incidents take place one after another smoothly, and the readers cannot think of any twist at all. But the ending just changes everything and leaves a deep mark on the reader's mind. The most disliked part of the story is the fact that people in every society value others with their social position. If we look at Miss Fairchild, she gets fascinated by Mr. Easton only for his power and good looks. She is eagerly talking to him, thinking that he is a young marshal. She even insists that he should visit the West. So, it shows how the society or people of the society are crippled when it comes to power and position. In conclusion, we can say that the story can be recommended to everyone. What readers learn from the story is that we should never judge a book by its cover. Here, Miss Fairchild and all the readers thought Mr. Easton to be the hero for his charming nature. But the ending gives us a lesson that a person's appearance does not always lead to his real character. Rather, it is the basic nature of one that makes him or her a good human being real. Lastly, it can be said that it is a good piece of reading for everyone.
So how was it? Tell me. Is it clear now? Is it clearer? I should say.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is
Yes,
how
ma'am.
you are going to read this story. You are going to give the gist first. You are going to describe the characters along with analysis. Then you are going to talk about the part that you liked, and there you have to give detail that I like this character for this and that reason, or I like this particular event or incident for this and that like and that reason, and same goes for dislike. And then the concluding part. Now, there are 6 members in each group. Only group number 1 has 7 members, I guess. So you have to, divide your parts accordingly. Accordingly, there are only 4 parts. So maybe one can talk about the introduction, and maybe the second and third person can talk about characters, because if there are like 4 characters, I think 2 people have a lot to talk about. Characters, dividing 2 between them, right? Divide 4 characters between 2 people, and then each of the 2 people are going to talk about 2 characters in detail, because you have to analyze the characters. And then for the third part, one person, I think it's better if one person talk about the part that the whole groups like, and the other person talks about the part that the whole groups dislike. So one, two, three, four, five people are done, and then the last person probably can talk about the concluding part, right? And group 1, since you have one person, maybe for conclusion, one can talk about if the story is worth reading, and the other person can talk about if there is any moral lesson at the end of the story. Or you can just divide your work according to your wish, according to your convenience. I am just suggesting you what you may do, but it's not necessary you have to plan your group presentation like that. It's completely up to you how you distribute your work, but just make sure that everybody is getting equal time to talk. It should not happen that one person is taking 3 minutes of time, and the second person has to, or the third person, or the last person has to finish his or her presentation in just 1 minute, because each group will get 12 minutes. Okay. Only group
Ma'am, we have
one
to
will
present it
get 14
Wednesday.
minutes. Sorry.
Ma'am, we have to present that on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, right? It's just an oral presentation. You don't have to make any slides or anything. You have watched a video, right? How the review has been orally presented, right? I have like reviewed the story just with my just orally. So you are going to do the same. Okay. You don't have to present anything. Everybody is going to be present in the class on that day, because of course we need audience, and it's going to be a group presentation. So group members must be there. All of your presentation is on Wednesday, so you have to be present because it's a graded presentation. Okay, class. What
Yes, ma'am.
else? Yeah, I was about to say something. I forgot. Anyway, does anyone have any question? Let me stop sharing so that I can see you all. Does anyone have any question? No? Uh, Fix, on Messenger or Slack or whichever platform is convenient for you, how you're going to connect with your group members, because it's important that you make the presentation before the next class, before Wednesday, I mean, right? So connect with your group members as soon as possible. Communicate with them, contact them in whichever way possible. Make phone calls or maybe knock them on Messenger, whatever is convenient for you, you think. Okay? No question?